Jesus, it's going to play over again and again. But anyways, a little bit of quick technical difficulties. It's, as the kids say nowadays, it's been a minute, but we're ready to spin it. And I am Rumble.
I am the right now mesmerized Gazoo.
And we're going to try to talk sports, as always, better than you. Gazoo, it's been a while. But it's kind of better when we do these things, once a month here and there. A lot of interesting things go on. And I don't know, when you see the write up of how I said this episode would go, I'm just going to put it right out there. We had talked a while back, many episodes ago, on what I felt the similarities of the Boston Bruins and both Boston Red Sox, Boston Celtics, who both, share the same address. Are they both going down the same avenues as they did last year? And if they are we up for utter disappointment once again?
So why don't we start with the Celtics about disappointment? Because
I'm not talking disappointment. I'm talking come the end. I'm not disappointed in the seasons. I'm just putting it out there that it just seems to me that both the Bruins and the Celtics are having that type of same season that they had last year. Let's just face it, the Bruins are up at the top of their division, up at the top of the NHL once again, quite possibly with another President's Trophy. The Boston Celtics are on top, not just of the Atlantic Conference, but they have the best record in all the NBA. Similarities of last year's both teams. To me, last year, the fact of the Celtics has been not just last year, but many years. Being able to close a game or being able to keep the pedal on the metal, so to speak, that once again is the characteristics are shining through once again. The Bruins, I've always, just like many, and you're a huge Bruins fan. But there are a lot of people that still question the tactics that the Bruins have with the platoon job of the every other, the goalie switching every night. I don't really see a problem to it. As long as they're stopping the puck, what does it matter? But you're more of that Bruins guy, What do you think? Yep. I'm throwing it out there. I'm not. I don't say no disappointment, but could it lead to disappointment? That's what I'm just saying. The similarities, things of that nature. We both know both teams are great right now, regular season.
What do I think? I think that as a true Boston fan, I feel like I've read this story multiple times, and every time the outcome has been the same. It seems to be a letdown. And when I look at the two teams, I don't think the Bruins are deep enough right now. I think enough teams in the East made enough moves by the trade deadline that I think that in a 7-game series, the Bruins are going to struggle because they just didn't make enough.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Just holding you on right there because I want you to continue.
Yep.
So with that being said, with the Bruins not having enough,
yep.
We had said that it came out last year. This was a gamble that last year when they went for it all, would it come to hurt them this year at the trade deadline? Are we seeing those effects right now? Do you think that that's what we're seeing? The effects of last year going all in and this year just trying to get a piece here and there and basically not having the prospects or whatnot, the groceries, to go out and shop, or the money.
There's a lot that goes into that, I think, but I think ultimately it's not just the moves they made last year because last year they did go all in and it just didn't work. So, because ultimately, they traded away capital last year to make the run. So yes, they didn't have the same capital to make moves this year. But the other thing that's hampered them has been contracts that may or may not be more beneficial to the player than to the team. Such as the case of Linus Ulmark. You know what I mean? Like you gave him a 16-team no trade clause. I mean that's more than half the league. Um,
Yeah.
And then let's be honest, you got some tough contracts on the team, and then you don't move a guy like Jake DeBrusk, and it's like I think at the end of the day, you look at the defense and the defense is soft. That you got two guys that are 6'4" and 6'3" or 6'5", and they're the two of the softest defensemen for that size, and that's the worst. That's the that's the worst case scenario you could ask for in a big defenseman. Be big and be soft. If you're gonna be big, if you're gonna be big, you gotta be able to move people around. And the defense is susceptible, and you can't live and die by the goalies because they're gonna have bad nights.
Yeah.
Has been evident lately with Jeremy Swayman. He has not been on his game where more so than where Umak has. I have a
Let me
feeling
stop you right there. There's a good one. Do you think if there wasn't the platoon thing that these guys wouldn't have those types of ups and downs and merry-go-rounds? That getting to go out there one night and being able to go out there the next night to say turn things around. Do you think that might have a little bit to do that maybe these guys really do need to, so to speak, stop? They love each other and
Nope.
do the big old huggy duggy. Do you think these guys need to just be a legit number one somewhere? Do you
No.
think
Well,
that
here's
could have problems with it?
here's the thing with that is uh, the team is built this last year and this year around more so this year the platooning goalies. Last year they platooned, but there were some days where or some games where a couple of goalies would play 3 or 4 games straight. Listen, you don't change the formula that gets you to the dance, especially if you're getting
Yeah,
to the dance in one of the top, if you're in the top four of your conference, you know, and I mean the conference, not just the Atlantic Division. Uh, you don't change that method, at least not this year. So, you know, you got your goalies that they should continue to platoon unless something drastic happens. Don't change that. I think personally, what's going to happen is the Bruins are going to finish. They're going to finish number 2 in the Atlantic, and they'll wind up facing. I think Florida is going to finish first. Um,
yep,
they'll wind up facing Toronto. They'll get past Toronto. It'll probably go 6 or 7 games. Then they're going to play Florida, and Florida's going to beat them in 5 or 6 because the Bruins are just. Not only are the Bruins soft on defense, I just don't think they're tough enough. I mean, yes, they won the game the other night against Florida, and Florida was a good game, but Florida kicked the shit out of them up until, and it took and it really just took them to kind of grit it out and try to hoof it out to win that game. And I hate to say it, but I mean, last year we had Florida's number until the fucking playoffs. This year, same thing. We
yep,
have Florida's number, and here come the playoffs. I just don't think Florida right now is. I can't find a team in the East that'll beat them in 7 games. The Bruins
yep.
would have to show me something in the next 10 games to really make me believe that they could beat Florida in a 7 game series. And that's the tragedy of the Boston Bruins, as that usually happens. First or second round, and they're out. And then, you know, people look at it and they'll say, well, it was a great season, blah, 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 blah. Can't wait till next year. Don, Don Sweeney would ultimately, he's going to be, he'll still be there. He ain't going to go nowhere because they're going to be, oh, look what we did in 2 years. We finished with the President's Trophy and blah, blah, blah. And then we finished here, made it the second round of the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. And then.
And this year, I'll be honest with you. When you say something like that, I. The only reason why I'm stopping you is when you say those things like that, it gives them even more fuel for the fire because a season like this was not expected with the people that walked away from the thing, man.
No, I agree,
Let's
but
face
I
it,
mean,
correct?
you have the
If we go
season.
back to you and me talking in July and August, and we talked on this
They'd say
program,
they'd finish.
we
They
both
finished.
we both were people that believed that it was going to be a different that it was going to be a different thing, especially because of they were missing two key guys that were hugely vital to what made this ship go last season, and
I know
everybody felt that way.
it's
If
true, but we
people,
both.
you
I
know what
think
I
if you go
mean,
back and look, when you go back and look,
we felt they'd be solid.
right? I think if you go
That
back,
that I
check
never
out
doubt.
what's that?
But number one, number two you know what I mean? And at one point, the Bruins had the best record in the NHL, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
No, they don't. No.
No. At one point in time this
Oh yeah,
season,
yeah, yes, they did.
that's what I mean. Like those are things that I'm maybe the first two games of the season if you told me that, but you know what I mean? We're talking, I believe, a really strong part of the NHL season where the Bruins were the number one team in the whole NHL after losing. Let's just face it, Patrice Bergeron is the heart, what was the heart and soul of the Boston Bruins.
Oh,
He,
I
to
think
me, other
everybody
than
knows that, but
you know, it's
yep,
like it's like losing Ray Bork, man.
I
I think
agree.
that's another
But
thing that I think that's another subject for another day, another time. But it's got to be extremely hard to put on not just only the spoked Boston B, but to be drafted as a first round draft pick or a highly sought after defenseman because you think of people like Ray Bork, Chara,
hold on one second.
Bobby Orr.
Stop what you're saying right there because I have asked a professional player this question, and they will tell you that is a fan's perspective only. They don't really. Very few players actually care about where they play because they say, and that's what when it comes to almost 95% of most athletes don't care the team they play for. It's about the paycheck. For us, we look at it. That statement would be correct from a fan's perspective, but athletes don't look at it like that. They don't care. Most athletes don't care. It's more about okay, well, am I being expected to be to be the next great defenseman? Am I supposed to be the next Connor McDavid? How many points are they looking for me out of me? How am I going to play in the top line? Are they looking to me to be the next their next star? That's the way they look at it. A guy
Absolutely,
like
and that's
Connor
what I'm
McDavid,
saying.
Connor McDavid could care less.
Listen. If Charlie McAvoy came here, drafted by the Boston Bruins, and doesn't look up at the rafters and say, "Those are the guys I got to be like," I don't believe it.
Uh,
I don't believe it because you hear athletes every day say, whether and when it comes to a prestigious team or a record they go after, yes, I believe that the money does count, but I just
listen.
yeah, you
I had a conversation with a former professional athlete who played pro NHL hockey. I went to school with him, Sean Bates.
that's NHL
And he
hockey.
has a kid. And he has a
Same thing
kid. But
as
hear me
Kevin
out.
McGlinchey
Hear me out. Hear
being
me
one
out.
of my buddies.
I know,
You
but
can't
hear me
tell
out.
me that you didn't sit
Yeah,
and
no,
find
he
it
didn't.
proud
No, he did.
to
I
go back to
asked.
the Fenway
Yes,
Park
they
and pitch
drafted
as
him.
an Atlanta Brave.
Listen to me.
You know,
Listen to me. Listen to me. We're talking about a kid.
Sean Bates
Can
from
I finish
Mexico
what I'm
town.
saying? Shut up. I had a conversation with him. Legit asked almost
That's
that
nice.
question
That's one out of
me.
a
And I
million.
am telling you, a kid who grew up right outside of Boston, grew up a Bruins fan, did not give a shit what the symbol was on the front. He gave a shit ultimately based on the size of the paycheck. The numbers in the
That's
rap
one
is
out of a million.
that's not out of a 1 out of a million, bro. That's a professional athlete.
Not everyone
We're
feels
not
that
pro
way.
athletes. We don't play professional sports. You know, we don't look at it like that. We're talking at like fans. Just like when we shit all over Jimmy Fingers when it comes to wrestling because we were in the business, he never was. But I'm telling you, as a fan,
That's like saying I never gave a shit about any locker room I ever went into, and I was surrounded by stars.
Listen to me. Do you really honestly think
I don't
Brandon
believe
fucking
it.
Carlo looks up at the rafters and goes, "Oh shit, number 4's up there"?
No,
Number
I'm not
77's
saying.
up there.
No. I think you're taking it the wrong way.
You're saying that athletes care. You know what you kind of said was like,
What?
think athletes give a shit about this and that. They care about. I mean, yeah, they want fans and they care because if they're successful,
I look at it this way: you're the next guy that gets
they make more
drafted.
money.
I'm not saying it like that. I look at it this way: Charlie McAvoy, who is a number 1 first round draft choice, okay, looked at it being the next franchise defenseman, okay, especially when it comes to being a Boston fucking Bruin.
Why
You're
he doesn't
looked
give a
at,
shit about being a Boston Bruin? He grew up in fucking Long Island. He would be that'd be more. I'd give you more weight to that argument if you were talking about him being the next great Islander because that was his favorite team growing up. He doesn't look at it going, "I'm the next great Boston Bruin defender." He's that's.
I think in the way maybe that's not the way he may look at it, but I'm sure that he's thought about, hey, there's been great guys that have been number 1 defensemen here in Boston, and I want to have my name in the same fucking honorable mention as those guys. So I think yes.
That's them wanting personal glory. That's all that is personal glory.
Who wouldn't want to leave the Bruins if he's here for 10 years, 15 years?
Because we've gone completely off track. Let's get back on track. You are the worst train conductor. We talked Bruins. So your question is, like, do I see the same thing? And I do with the Boston Celtics. I think the Celtics are going to choke in the fucking championship. I don't think they're going to win. I think the Celtics are playing. I don't think Joe Mazzulla's method. I think, you know what I think the Celtics are? They're the best regular season team in the league.
All right. I don't think it has anything. I think the biggest thing that the Celtics have is they don't have the finish gene. Jason Tatum just doesn't have it. And it's not just going to go and turn around for him. Right now, do you know what the Celtics record this year in games that, with 3 minutes left in the game, Celtics up by 5 or less? Do you know what their record is?
Didn't they only have is it like they've won only 1 or 2 games? If that?
They're 10-10. They're 10-10.
Something like, okay.
In games with 3 minutes left, 5 points and under. That's not That's not.
Like the Bruins.
That's saying a lot for a team that has 16 losses.
That's like the Bruins.
They
are the worst team in the league. When they're up 1 goal in the last 2 minutes, they've given up more 6 on 5 goals. So yeah, the Celtics. That's terrible. That's a terrible stat, and that's because they have a team of. They have nobody on that team that knows how to finish. That's the difference.
Closing out the game this year, statistical wise, Jason Tatum is the 6th. That's the 6th. Is number 6 in closing it out. Porzingis with tee shots is 56%. Jason Tatum is 23. He's the 6th person on the team.
That's because all Jason Tatum wants is to be named the league MVP, which he's not going to get.
He wants to be like Kobe, and what they got to understand. I know that. And a lot of people are saying the one thing that the Celtics probably should start to concentrate on is running pick and roll with Derek White and Porzingis, because people are going to be looking for Brown and Tatum in those situations. And then people are saying that. Yep.
Good question. you just said about the people say they should do this and they should do that and do this and that. Answer me something. They're the best team. What are they? The best team or the second best team in the NBA record?
They have the
Why
best
would they
record in the
change?
NBA.
Why would anybody ever recommend changing anything when they are 8 games ahead of the next best team in the East? You don't change a
Do you
fucking
watch
thing.
any of the? Do you watch any of the Boston Celtics games?
I mean, they lost 2 straight to the Hawks. I saw
No.
that. But
Yeah,
what I'm saying is you don't.
Do you watch
You're gonna
any of the
lose.
games?
I've been to it. I went to a couple of games. I went to 2 games this year,
Yeah.
and I've watched a few. And I'm just going to tell you,
They
again, it goes
and
back
they
to
play and there's not a consistent thing that they do every night. The one consistent thing that they do every night is throw up hundreds of 3-point plays. But there's been
that's my
many a
whole
nights
point.
where that ball has gone where Porzingis has looked like the best player on the court.
But the thing is, you got what?
Derek White
3
looked like
weeks
the
left in
best player on the court.
But 3 weeks left in the regular season. You would recommend changing up their game plan on the floor? Why?
No, what I would what a lot of people are recommending is to stop with the last possession, just going ISO and dribbling the ball with one guy for 23 out of 26 seconds, and try utilizing a half court set. And if other teams can take the focus off of a guy like Brown and Tatum, and then get the ball to them, it will be a much different look, and you might be able to get some things wide open. And then the other point is, if they're that damn good, they shouldn't have to be in pressure cooker situations like they're in right now.
I agree 1,000%. And they play Joe Mazzulla ball, and
what is Joe Mazzulla ball, if you don't mind me asking?
everything from outside. They're not. I mean, the whole game, but Mazzulla is moving the ball fast.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this one question. What's the one difference between the way that Brad Stevens, Ime Udoka, and Joe Mazzulla really have had the Celtics playing over the past, let's just say 6 seasons?
Udoka was more defensive based. Let's be honest. I mean, he did play defensive ball. I think Brad Stevens was more of a. I don't want to say traditionalist, but I felt like Brad Stevens had more of a balance between the 2-point and 3-point game. Although he built, his roster was built to be, 1 or 2 outside 3-point shots with everyone else kind of inside the perimeter. But I think the team is built now for, look, everybody's a 3-point shooter on the fucking. That's how they built the team, and that's Joe Mazzulla ball. Everything, dominate.
It's NBA ball.
Dominate. It's NBA ball, but I mean, it's.
No, it's NBA ball. And to be quite honest with you, it's becoming college basketball. And for a guy who coaches high school basketball, it's horrible, because as a coach, and you try to tell these guys to just work the ball inside. That's all they see is this. Like last night, I'm not sure. Did you watch that? So you're saying you watched the Atlanta game last night? Did you see the possession towards the end that Tatum was within 6 feet of driving range of the hoop?
I didn't watch it.
All right, so he was within 6 feet of the basket, ready to drive, and he was in the air. And in mid-air, instead of putting it off a glass to tie the game, he opted to pass the ball back out to the 3-point line, and they bricked it.
I know. And then the other team scored like 10th with 1/10 of a second left on the clock.
It's horrible. So they were within 6 to 8 feet of the rim to throw the ball back out 25 feet. It just makes no absolute sense in today's basketball.
So forget about how they played last night. What's your opinion of the Boston Celtics? Do you think they're going to let you down?
They've been the same team that they've been for about 5 years.
Okay,
3-point happy. They play
no. What I'm
defense
asking
when
is,
they
do you
want
think
to
they're going to
play
be able to win the
defense.
championship?
Their hugest let me finish. Their hugest characteristic still continues to be to if they got a 30-point lead, find a way somehow to blow it. And I think if those continued characteristics that they have cease to persist, I think yes, we'll have another disappointment, and we'll be talking about quite possibly splitting up the Jays.
Yeah, but you ain't getting rid of Jaylen Brown because he ain't going nowhere. They just fucking signed him.
Jaylen Brown, okay.
And who the fuck would ever take a top 10 player in the league contract for a player who isn't even top 30? All right, I'm sorry, top 20.
Okay, so top 10? You do know he's the highest paid player. I didn't say, let me finish. He is the highest paid player in the NBA.
Who is?
With the max deal that Jaylen Brown signed this offseason, he became the highest paid player in the NBA.
For a guy who's not even top 20. Oh, that's all right. I did not realize he was the top. Well,
when he got that max deal, that's why a lot of people had expressed their interest and expressed their thoughts that he wasn't worthy of it. Now, we weren't allowed to trade him this season. He can become like, what if after the season ends, his contract he has this year with people who are up for max deals this year, that deal falls down to 15th. Now he becomes tradable to a team. That's the NBA logic, if you feel what I'm saying. His salary could drop down to 15th after the season. Now Jaylen Brown becomes very attractive to a team.
He ain't going nowhere, though.
I didn't say that.
The Celtics aren't going to move him. I don't see the Celtics moving him. I just don't.
If they don't win it this year, you got to think of something, buddy.
I think, yeah, but I think the Celtics. I think not the Celtics. I think Jason Tatum will force the Celtics to make.
What would Jason Tatum? I can't hear you.
Jason Tatum. Can you hear me now?
Can
you hear me?
Yep, he'll force his way out of town.
I wouldn't say force his way out of town, but I think what's going to happen is ultimately he's going to be the one that goes. He's going to, he's going to either his contract's going to come up and he's just saying, nah, I have a feeling it'll be JT that leaves before JB.
It's funny you say that because I believe Tatum's deal is up in a year or two, and I've always envisioned him not being a true to life Celtic.
I don't think he's a true. I don't think he's a Celtic life.
No, I can picture. He loves Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant fan. I can picture him going. I've always said this. I can picture him in I can picture him in a Laker uniform.
Yeah, I can see him in a Lakers uniform. I could see him on the West Coast somewhere, or down in Miami.
Yeah, I picture him in Gazoo. I picture him in L.A. Zoo with LeBron, and I just do. I picture it.
He won't
be there. I picture.
LeBron's done in another year or two, I think. So he won't be playing LeBron. I think LeBron.
He'll be taking over after LeBron leaves.
Huh?
Then he'll be going there after LeBron leaves, taking over.
I could care less what team he goes to. I just definitely think that.
So anyways, I believe in order for the Celtics to do anything, if they make it to the Western, if they make it to the finals, if they do, they're gonna need to play with every ounce of energy. They're gonna have to pull it out of their ass because Jokic is no Jokic.
Best player in the world right now.
Jokic Jokic is no Jokic. The Denver Nuggets are a tough team. The Celtics will be up for, they'll be up for it. That's a battle, man. I don't, there's no, like, then there's this thing that, like, are they, do they, are they just disinterested and feel they can turn it back on? They're like, or is it, they're not showing things that they could show later on in the playoffs? Like, or is it really are they playing this stupid this late in the year?
I think
Like,
it's. I
there's
think
many
it's.
things.
I think it's like most teams in that they've taken the foot off the gas pedal. I don't think it's the best thing either, but that's what made teams like the Chicago Bulls and the '86 Celtics some of the best teams ever, because they they when they had a 10 or 12 game lead, it wasn't enough. They wanted a 20 game lead. And if that wasn't enough, they wanted a 30 game lead. And they would blow you out of the water every
Absolutely.
night of the week. That's the difference between a great team and a team that's just, you know, having success and doesn't have that killer instinct. And that's why the Boston
Like,
Celtics, I think, are not going to
if you
win,
would,
because they do not have the killer instinct.
but Al, if you were to tell me, I can see the Miami Heat getting hot and quite possibly knocking them out again. I can picture that.
Playoffs every seat,
Terry
but
Rose,
Atlanta Hawks were terrible
they're
last
hot
year.
right now. You got Terry Rose there. You got Bam Adebayo, who's a great playoff player, and then Jimmy Butler becomes Michael Jordan when the playoffs are around.
You mean Jimmy Jordan, Michael Jordan's son?
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, I won't count. I won't count Miami out. And I've always remembered this since I was a kid, and I say this to everybody. I heard this from people. I heard this from sports reporters. When it comes time for the NBA and the NHL, it's a tournament. It's different than any other playoffs in the whole wide world. The teams that come into this healthiest and hottest become the most dangerous. It's the teams that were used to being on top that have become complacent, that haven't had much to play for, but those are the ones that got to watch themselves, because now all of a sudden they have to turn the fear factor button back on. So that's why, yes, as we say, taking the foot off the gas becomes detrimental. And if I think a lot of, to say a betting man, if there's a people that say, okay, the two lowest seeds out of the last 20 games of the season are the most healthiest. Not only were they the most healthiest, but they went 18-2 in the last 20, which means they're riding a high confidence level. They're probably looking at themselves in the mirror and saying, what the hell do we got to lose? We could have won 2-18 and we'd be out.
That's what happens when teams get hot. They have that mentality.
That's why I think that hockey and the NBA are nothing like, and people say, well, they play series in Major League Baseball, but you're facing 3-4 different starting pitches, and to me, that's not it's not the same of a heated battle of hockey and basketball, because I believe those two sports, that's when the physicality picks up the biggest too.
Wait,
I think those sports.
Hockey, yes. Basketball, there's no such thing as physicality, pal. They're a bunch of fucking divas. Let's be honest here. Basketball is nothing like hockey when it comes to physicality. And football is way more physical than fucking basketball.
Well, I think the NBA, if you look at the past few, The playoffs get physical.
Basketball.
Up to them last
Fuck out
two,
of here.
there's some bodies that fly around. Maybe not like back in the '90s, in the early 2000s, but these games get physical. These games get physical.
Not, listen,
The
if
NHL
you
used
think
to be
that,
way more physical than it is now. You got soft guys in the NHL too. We were just talking
oh,
about some. The defensemen for the Bruins.
bro, that the physicality is like going to fucking first base in fucking third grade, fucking rubbing up against the fucking girl's titty, and the fucking girl going, foul. That's what happens. All right, fucking NHL. It's like in order to get a fucking foul, you're hitting a grand fucking slam. I mean, dude, they're smashing each other. The fucking NBA, they'll fucking, come on. Paul Pierce was the worst, dude. He'd lean in. Oh, my eye. I mean, he got the call, but I mean, dude, let's not fucking sit here and say that the NBA is physical by any stretch of the fucking means. Please stop. Just I
Uh,
1,000% NHL. Yes. All right. Let's transition into something. I want to save the big mamma jamma for the last, which is let's talk Patriots last, because there's a lot to talk about there. Let's talk about your favorite team, who's for once over 500, the Boston Red Sox. They're 1-0. They're over 500, probably for the last time this year, but season just started. Give me
uh,
some thoughts. What are your thoughts on first things first? First
I
question to you. Hold on, let me ask you the question. My first question to you is this. We in our previous episode we talked about a pathetic offseason of the Boston Red Sox. With that said, having watched spring training, which I know you did, what were your thoughts of this year's now Boston Red Sox? Do you think they
well,
have enough to be
I
competitive in the American League East?
wow. Okay, so my firm belief is I. It's a huge question mark because a lot of things are going to go right. Let's just think about this.
Well, based off of what you
Today we
saw
find
in
out.
in spring.
Hold on. Today we find out that Jordan Montgomery really was never interested in the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, we already knew that.
Number
That already came out.
two,
Yeah.
it come to find out that Jordan Montgomery during the Skype call, no money was ever talked. Which is, you know what I mean? So nothing. It was really nothing ever said. So I look at that as like the Red Sox and Patriots got something similar. Nobody wants to come here and play for the two cheapest organizations in the whole world. But I have to believe that the Red Sox can be very interesting. I think a lot of these young guys that if I kind of want them to struggle because I want to see some of these young guys come up and the kid Anthony, who's an outfielder. I think this Rafaela is going to be an interesting guy. I think Bayo, if he didn't have to come out truly and be the ace right away and just put a pitch in being, you know, as much as being the number two counting guy, I would have think of more comfortability of him being a three-hole guy, but whatever the case may be, these young guys, and these young guys, it's Major League Baseball is right now becoming a young man's sport. And as we see, it's becoming like it's not just a thing every year. There's a lot of older guys that when we were kids, there was never free agents that went this late in the year to say, wow, they're going on the teams. So the Red Sox have no left-handed pitcher in the rotation. It's strong right-handed. A lot of young arms that need to prove themselves. I don't truly believe that they're worse than last year. I believe they're right around where they were last year, where they're set a 78 to maybe and this is far fetched. And I know it's only a half a dozen more wins, but 78 to maybe 84 wins at most. And that that only is for the fact that if some of these young everything in order for the high end of that to even come true, a real lot of things have to go right. The one thing that I think the reason why it has a good chance of going right is, let's just face it, the biggest free agent on the Boston Red Sox isn't a player, it's the guy coaching the team. Alex Cora, after this year, is a free agent, my friend. If he can take the Sad Sox, who basically they didn't spend shit, and said, here, this is what you have, not only this year, but last year, the year before that. To live through that. Imagine if this dude, without a legit guy who said at one time they were a number one pitcher. This time last year, James Paxton pitched for a minute, but he had experience on being an ace pitcher on a staff before. You know, you had a guy like Justin Turner. You had Adam Duvall. You had some other guys that were around last year that ain't here this year. If Alex Cora can put together 78 to 84 wins with the guys he has this year, it's a young team. It's prospects, my friend. This is what baseball's become.
All right, so I'm going to
If
transition.
he can put it,
Let me ask you a question. This is going to transit based off
yep.
of something I kind of heard. Young man's game, and you say the Red Sox are between 78 to 84. 78 to 84 is obviously not a winning season. Let me ask you this: if Red Sox are not in the
Why
playoff
is
hunt,
84? Listen,
hold on, let
why
me
is
ask you
84
the
wins?
question. Let me ask you the question.
Yeah, go on.
If the Red Sox are not in the playoff hunt come trade deadline, is the final season of Rafael Devers in a Boston Red Sox uniform?
All right,
No,
to answer your quick question, why is 84 wins not considered a winning season? I
because
believe
they're not in.
last year
No, wait,
the
because
Arizona
a winning,
the
because
Arizona
84.
Diamondbacks
Hold
went
up,
to the World
you're asking
Series.
me a question. I'm going to give you an answer. 84 wins in the American League East is in last place. That is not a winning season. Winning season is
Why?
making it to
Who?
the playoffs.
What? Why? What
Winning
makes
it.
the Yankees pitching staff so? What makes the Yankees pitching staff so much
I
better
didn't.
than what the Red
I didn't.
Sox have right
I
now?
simply said you asked me, and I said 84
Yeah,
wins
yeah.
is not going to get you to the playoffs. It is
And if
likely for
Garrett
you to
Cole
be
does
in
not
last
come
place.
back to play, I will say this right now, if the Yankees lose Garrett Cole to any
Forget about the
longer than that
Yankees.
2 months,
Forget about we're talking Red
no, I'm
Sox.
not going
The Yankees.
to forget about the Yankees. No, because you're trying to tell me that the Red Sox. Listen here, Stiff Mike.
You think 84
If the
wins is a winning
Yankees,
season? That's like getting a fucking hand job and saying it was the best blow job ever. 84
how
wins
many
in
games
the
did they play?
American League East. That's not going to make. You're not making the playoffs with 84 wins. You maybe wild card, but we're talking American League East here. That's what I said. In the American League East was the question.
Where teams
84
beat up
wins
on each
would be
other
last.
with the. Where's my computer? I can't even go on my computer to tell you what was the wild card last year in the American
Hold on,
League.
I'll tell you right
What did the team have?
now.
I bet you they didn't have more than eight. I bet you they were right around 86 wins. So if
You
you tell me
shut up.
84 ain't in it, right there, you don't know what you're talking about.
MLB playoff.
Records.
Right? Okay. Oh wait. No, I gotta do bracket.
You're thinking every playoff team wins 100 games, and they fucking don't.
Buddy, the Yankees last year were 82 and 80, and they finished in 4th place. Red Sox were 78 and 84 last year. Okay, so I'm just pointing that out to you.
And that's four games. Why can't that swap?
You want to hear what the wild card records were, my friend? How does it work now?
I do.
Yeah, hold on.
Top 6 teams.
So, how many teams make it from each division? Clinch wild card. Okay, hold on. Right, ready?
It doesn't matter about division.
Here you go. All right, here you go. You ready? Your wild card teams. Tampa Bay Rays at 99 and 63. The Blue Jays at 89 and 73, and the Texas Rangers at 90 and 72. So don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
Those are the division, buddy. Those are the division winners. What are the wild cards? The wild cards would be the next 3 records underneath.
84 wins in the American League East very likely could be what I'm looking at could be a last place finish in the American League East.
What?
And you're not getting a wild card at 84 wins.
What were the 3 wild card teams?
I just gave them to you. The fucking I just gave them to you. Fucking open your ears and listen, numbnuts. The Tampa Bay Rays, the Toronto Blue Jays, and the fucking Texas Rangers. The Texas
How many wins do the Texas Rangers? How many wins do the Texas Rangers have? How many wins did the Texas Rangers have? He's frozen. As soon as the Gazoo comes back, he hates being wrong. Look at that face. Only a face a mother can love.
Are we back? What happened there?
All right. Now listen. You froze. Okay. I know you love being right. Okay, and I understand that.
No. I am just showing you.
No.
Asked, I gave you the answer.
I know that that's not. Oh my fucking God.
Is that what you not asked?
And I did. I said that's last year's record, but that's last year.
And you said give me last year. That's what I gave. Who made? Here are the 3 records.
Texas, what was the Texas Rangers record?
What's that?
Okay, 84 wins, 5 games back. That still makes it interesting. But what if?
5 games? You
say no.
5 games in Major League Baseball? I don't know.
Or what if this year the East beats the shit out of each other and is more like a team like Arizona made the playoffs with 84 wins last year? Sorry, but every year the records are different. Like this year in the NFL, if you were to tell me that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to frickin' win a division at 8 and 9, I would have told you, how is that worthy of being the division winner? It could, numbers could change. 84 wins this year could get you somewhere. What if the top team that makes the wild card has 85 wins? Maybe in your estimation, it ain't a winning season.
Okay,
a winning season is anything over 500.
Yeah, well, a winning season. Yeah, okay, that's like I said. That is a fucking and I know you're not this type of person, so don't take this the wrong way. But that mentality is everybody gets a trophy. I mean, we had a winning season. Great job, everybody.
No, it's
great
not.
team. No, that's garbage. That's garbage.
The Red Sox are basically, it's accepting the fact that they're not building to have a World Series contender this year. Their outlook is 2025. They've said it all along.
Right. Oh, wait. Is that how they go full throttle? They're going to wait till 2025 to go full throttle?
I don't believe anything that they said. I know that they're not spending money. I'm not going to argue that point. I'm going to listen to what they've been saying. They have said 2025. is the year to be expected with all these guys? And okay, the 2025 is next year,
I never once
and
heard
that's
John Henry or who said that. Because are you saying like that's what they're saying?
2025 is the expected year of all these guys that are supposed to come up. Rafaela is one of the early bloomers. It was
But
supposed to be next year was the crop
okay,
of
so
Rafaela,
all right,
the
stop right there because
shortstop kid that they've been no, I'm not going
no,
to
no. What I'm
stop
saying, the
because
reason why
they've
I
been
say
saying
stop
this.
there, because I'm going to give you something that to add to this, because you are the bigger of the two Red Sox fans here. So tell me, as a fan, as you're talking about this, you seem excited for 2025. Yet,
No,
what about
I'm not. I'm not
2024 in the
excited for
promise?
25. I
Okay, but
like
what
these
about the promise?
prospects though.
Right, but what about the
I
promise?
do.
What about the promise, though, made by ownership that we're going full throttle this year to really it be a smoke show in a smoke screen? And that really wasn't the truth coming from ownership, especially to the Red Sox fan base, telling them we're going full throttle. And then potentially, and maybe you'll agree, because you named off some pretty decent team players that are no longer here. The Red Sox are actually probably worse team roster wise than they were last year. Would you agree?
I
And
don't
then tell
believe
me
that.
how
I
you
believe
feel
second.
as a fan.
I don't.
Like, how do you feel
How
as
do
a
I feel
true
as a
Red Sox
fan?
fan?
Wow. I haven't listened to this ownership in a few years. Ever since, realistically, since seeing how this team is treated the way that people come into Fenway Park and treated the team not as a baseball team, but as an allure like it's Disneyland.
That's what it's become.
So
You know
respect,
what, Jay?
yeah.
Best statement I think you've
So
ever made on this. That is such the I thank you for putting it like that, because that's how I've never been able to equate that, but that's what it feels like. It feels like the ownership has made the Boston Red Sox and Fenway Park like Disney World or
so
Disneyland.
that's that's why I have a different mind, quote unquote, perspective on theoretically the way they've gone about things because I've dug deeper into the reality of baseball and they're following a formula that I hate to say it. They're following a formula that the people who once owned the Houston Astros
And
adorned before. Yeah, and they let
do you
all
remember
their
John
high price
Henry?
money go. They let all their high price money go in Houston, and John Henry's done this too in Florida,
With the Marlins, yes.
and they build upon their prospects. He won a World Series
No,
twice
no, no,
doing
no.
it.
With the Marlins, he had a pretty good team, and then he
Yeah,
traded
yeah.
it off,
Just
and
let
then
it
the
go.
Marlins
But anyway,
years.
there's a good article that came out, and it's the Houston Astros. If you look at the way they did things from coming over from the National League to the American League, they went through their books. They went to sell. They were selling off the team. They got rid of some things. They cut things down, and they went by a different building and perspective model. The only thing that I can tell you that I will believe when it comes to fortune that's making me start to see some certain things is because I'm around some younger uh, kids that coaching baseball. These kids are hugely into the collecting of cards, and it's the prospects that are worth things. It's not the major league players anymore, which is a reverse model in collecting baseball cards, believe it or not. So over the past 2 to 3 years, I've started to watch because I have a really good app that gets me a lot of different stations. I watch a lot. I follow a lot of different minor league baseball, and the Red Sox really do have some fine young guys that are going to come up and hopefully come through the trail. And I'm going to make my way down to Portland before the kid Anthony gets called up, before Maya gets called up. I believe York's already in Worcester. But by the summer, you're going to be able to go to up to Worcester, and 6 to 8 of the guys that potentially are going to be in Boston Red Sox uniforms in the next year to two, you'll be able to watch some really good baseball up there in Worcester this summer. And if this fruition really does come true in 2025, I'd have to say the people in Baltimore are pretty happy with what they got last year. And I'm pretty sure that the fans in Baltimore this year are kind of happy on what they have prospective to turn around to be once again. I believe the only one thing we can hope, my friend, is if this really does happen and a true wave of brand new Boston Red Sox do come up, that can they do what they just did with Brian Bayo? Take the money that you've saved over the past 5 years and breaking up fucking hearts and letting people like Mookie and maybe Evaldi and many others that have fucking walked the plank and fucking left. At least if they are able to say, if like, what if they turn around and they take those guys in a year or two and they throw this one 300 million and they throw this one 350 and they throw that one 400, and now you got a core of these guys that are tied up for the next 6 to 8 fucking years in the Boston Red Sox. I can tell you 2 to 3. I'm willing because I remember as a kid growing up, and baseball wasn't interested, Capelli, when there was two divisions, the American League West and the American League East, and one team made it, they battled it out, and it didn't matter how good of a fucking season you had. You either won the fucking pennant or you weren't good enough to fucking be there. So we've come to the point now where, man, if you can and I will continue to say this, if you're in a city and you're able to watch meaningful baseball from the end of August, the first couple of weeks of September, where you're fucking watching NFL and you're thinking, shit, there's a fucking baseball game on. I need to check the score. No matter what the fucking record is. If you're in that shit to try and be in a one game, survive, make all, it's made baseball interesting. And if you can give me that, I'm a happy Red Sox fan right now. All I ask is that if you got all these guys that are gonna come up, please tie some of them up early, like the Atlanta Braves. Take that motto. Tie these guys up. They got a good core of them young guys that are tied up for 6, 8 years that they've already offered 200-300 million to. If they take a motto like that, I'm going to be a happy guy, dude. I really am.
Right,
and the thing is, well, like, that's all. Do I believe they're cheap and they fucking drop the ball? Yes, they have. But if I never believed they were going to spend any money. Look, not spend money. They're charging $30 for the worst fucking app in all the world. That app, that the talking of that app just hasn't made New England sports talk radio, but has made Get Up on ESPN. That a New England sports network is charging $30 for an application when you can get 3 apps for $12.99. You can get Hulu Plus, you can get Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus. For crying out loud!
It is time to transition away from baseball into probably the most talked about sport
And
here.
thing is, I'll say this before we transition into wrestling. I know for a fact Fingers is
No,
going
we're
to
not
go.
going to wrestling.
See,
We're going
Rumble took the easy way out, like a coward to say they'll be what they were last year. Whatever. That's what I believe. I believe they're no worse than last year. If anything, I think they're a couple of games better. And that's with the pitching staff they have. Only
All
because
right.
the
Can we get
defense
off
is
the
going to
Red
be that
Sox?
much better.
Hey,
Hold
listen.
on, let me finish 60 seconds.
God.
With Trevor Story being without his bat, with Trevor Story just being at shortstop, makes the Red Sox a better team.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, we'll see it.
It does.
We'll see.
Look at the play he made last night.
One game. Need to see 162.
Don't matter. He's going to make. Right now, it's 0-0.
All right.
In the end of the fifth, Pavetta's looking good.
Can we transition to the important thing that matters now?
Yes, we can. The New England Patriots.
Let's talk.
And
Now, I am going to shut up.
Belichick.
I am going to give you a couple of questions, and I'll give you the questions, and then I'll let you lead with the first answer. So, obviously, at our last conversation, we've already done the we talked about what position. Okay, so that was a good 2 months ago. You've had time now, seeing that the different plays.
I do have time.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish this question because it's going to be a little different to hear it out. So, seeing the moves that the Patriots have made, one of them being,
and what moves
I don't want to get
made?
into it, but said bye-bye to Macadoodle. However,
what?
He said, but was saying they
Ben
said bye-bye
McAdoo?
to Macadoodle, Mac Jones, bye-bye.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
what you think I said?
I thought they got rid of. You said Macadoodle, and they have a coach that's named Ben McAdoo.
No. So I meant Macadoodle, meaning Mac Jones. So now you've also gotten to see what other teams in the league are potentially doing for the draft. Having seen all this and the moves the Patriots made, what would you do with the number one pick? Are you going?
I told you.
Are you take? Go ahead.
Go ahead. No. All right. I'm going to tell you. There's many things like. If you're going to say, well, the Patriots, everybody knows.
Just I want to hear what you want to do. What do you think?
Everybody knows the Patriots need a quarterback. Okay? Everybody knows that. Everybody. But at the same point in time, you really want to bring a quarterback, okay? And you're going to say the Jersey thing again.
Answer the question.
The question, I got many answers to it. I told you.
What?
The question being is bringing a quarterback here into New England, knowing with what they have and what they did not do via free agency, like add any depth to the offensive line, add a number one receiver, okay? Those point blank, if they had done that in the offseason, and you're going to tell me point blank, absolutely, yes, we're taking the
right now. Stop talking about last season right now. We can't talk about last season. It's over and done with. I am asking you. Answer the question before Jimmy Fingers starts to come in here and answer the question, and then we're going to look like fools. Please give me an answer.
Shut the fuck up. This is my thing. You're asking me what I would do with the most important pick. No. I'm not going to answer it that way. It's the most important pick we've had in 30 fucking years.
I don't care about last year. We talked about what you saw, the moves that they've made.
Who said last year? When did I say last year? If you can answer that question.
They didn't take this last year, and they didn't take this last year. I'm talking about right
I
now.
didn't say that last year. I just said fucking free agency, you fucking
Yes,
melonhead.
kid. Oh
They
my
didn't do
God.
shit.
Just
They
go.
didn't do shit in the off
I
season.
know. I
They
said
were
let's not
asking
talk
me.
about
They
last
didn't do shit in
season.
the off season. No,
I know
I'm
that.
gonna tell you this. They have nothing. They got nothing right now to take a fucking guy at number 3 and put him in here as a fucking starting quarterback with
Okay, so go
nobody
with
that
your
can catch.
go
Me and
with
you are better
okay.
fucking receivers. Fucking Jimmy Fingers is a better tight end for crying out loud. Stiff Mike is
Uh,
better in fucking offensive line with what they have, and you want to stick a guy that's number 3 overall into a fucking steamroller like this after
okay.
fucking Mac
Okay.
Jones just shit
So
the
I
bed.
wait.
You got
Okay,
fucking
good.
Cam Newton, who is the shits, and
All right. What are you doing
Tom
with okay?
Brady, the most legendary quarterback. No, I am fucking taking what's best for the organization. I am waiting unless the man you want and see at that 3 is there, you take him. If not, you
Okay.
fucking
All
see
right.
what you can
All
get
right.
for that
So
third
let me ask.
overall.
So okay. So
I
good.
think
So
there's flip
you're not
sides to
sold
the
on a quarter.
coin about
You're
putting
not.
a fucking quarterback in
You are
here.
not sold on any of those quarterbacks. Then
I
you're
never
not
said I
sold on.
wasn't thrilled.
No, no. I said you're not sold. I said
Never
to
said
me
I
like
wasn't thrilled. I'm afraid to bring one here, knowing that we did shit in free agency to give the quarterback a fucking chance.
so. But would you agree that I didn't think you would? Quarterback is probably one of the top 2 most important positions on a football team. Position.
The quarterback is the most important, but the last thing you want to
Okay.
do
So
is, and I'm
so
just
what are
saying
you?
this, the last thing, in my honest opinion, you want to do is bring a guy in that just has nothing around him. Not a security blanket. He doesn't even got a good offensive line to try and create to have a rapport with the receiver. And you know that so those are certain things, man. That's all. And then you talk about like they talk about this Drake May guy coming here. Drake May, if you know anything about him, okay,
I wouldn't take
great
him.
athlete. Okay. They're saying the best athlete out of all of them. He didn't start to commit to playing football until 2 years ago. His best sport was basketball. His father was a quarterback for the University of North Carolina. His brother was a starter in basketball for North Carolina. He has never left the state of North Carolina and has always been a star there. Okay. Imagine that kid who's been told his whole life he is the best thing going in North Carolina. You're going to send that kid with no offensive line, not a receiver to throw to, not only just to an NFL team with that situation, but who is a quarterback that everybody loves around these parts? Oh, motherfucking Brady.
Okay.
Okay.
So, but let me ask you this. So then, what you're
New
saying
England,
is
Boston sports. I just don't think if you were to tell me, all right,
but you're
we
telling me.
just
Hold
got
on.
T. Listen.
I got to
If
make sure I
before
got it
the
right though.
draft, okay, hear me out. Hear me out. If you were to tell me before the draft, Jay, they went out, they got T. Higgins, they was able to trade for him. Oh, they just picked up an offensive lineman to protect the other end. But I'd be like, now with third, I'm thinking, okay, you're going to give the quarterback a chance to live another day. If you're going to tell me, Jay, they're going to sit the guy no matter what, they pick a 3 so that they can go out and make sure they got the right tools for this guy to succeed. I'm for it. I
Okay.
just don't believe you can. I don't believe, like the people say, it's hard to sit a guy when you pick him number 3. And I just don't believe that right now, plugging the quarterback in, if you were to say to me, Jay, the quarterback, we're just, a couple of drafts, a pick or two away, and he makes the thing. We just don't got the ingredients to fix that mixture. That, that's all. That's just me. That's me. That's my opinion.
So-
Opinions are like assholes,
you
and everybody got one.
You have no issue passing on what potentially, and I'm not saying they are, but potentially there are 4 quarterbacks that can go in the top 10. Now they're saying potentially top 6 because now they're saying
Yeah.
fucking Kyler Murray's getting traded and they're going to move up. Minnesota's going to trade. They're going to trade for Kyler Murray, give up the pick, and then Arizona is going to take the pick and they're going to take JJ McCarthy. So now they're saying there's 4 potential again
Yeah.
game
Okay.
defining, game changing quarterbacks in the top 4 of the New England Patriots. And ultimately, what you've said is because they did not make the moves, you would want them to pass on that and not bring in what could be a game changing generational quarterback for that team. Now,
For the
that's the case.
I know when you say that. Yes.
What do you want them to do?
He's not.
Seeing what they have, what do you want them to do?
What do I want them to do?
What would you
In the
like
perfect
to
world,
want to see them try?
I would love to see them. Listen,
trade or maybe
an A scenario. An A scenario was obviously taking the quarterback that is a game changer, but bringing him here to New England, where you've added absolutely Stugatz, I don't think it's a good situation for a guy like that. That's all.
Okay. I'm just saying, this
So,
is like
so with the situation, if the draft was tomorrow and you got what you got right now, hell no, because that guy could be bounced out in a year or two because you just killed everything he has.
Let me give you options, and you tell me what you think the best option would be. So, option 1, it goes right through quick options. Option 1, trade down, get another a later first round this year, maybe a second and a first next year, whatever they're going to get. Trade down and go for a different position, maybe an O lineman or probably an O lineman if they traded down. Or option B.
There was one scenario they were talking about today where there was a team looking to get the third pick, and they had 2 mid first round picks. Okay, if the team had 2 mid first round picks and then gave us next year's number 1, so that's
3 number 1s.
2 this year, and then 2 next year, and then they would have the other team's number 1 again. There's one team that has 2 first round picks that are later in the they're like 13 and 26 or something like that. I forget who the fucking team is, but they were talking about that team giving up those 2 picks for the Patriots first round pick, and also the throw in would be next year's number 1 pick from that team, along with quite possibly a lower pick, like a 3rd or a 4th round pick, and that continues.
Okay.
So turn around talking about
getting 3 picks a huge value. Or do you take the Marvis or would you take Marvis Harrison Jr.? Let's be honest. If they don't take a quarterback, then it's definitively going to be either they're trading out of that spot,
or they don't take the quarterback they want, and they don't have the quarterback they want. I would not be disappointed if Marvin Harrison Jr. or that offensive lineman. But now they're starting to say that kid from, I think it's Texas, is just like he's like. The kid from Texas who's a receiver is like, if Marvin Harrison's a 10, this kid's like 9.5.
Okay.
So
if the Patriots were given that deal, you would think that's the best deal because you probably could get that receiver, you think, in that middle rounds?
Yeah. I think that you can get a guy like him. I think Michael Penix is right there for that number 36 pick that they got in the second round.
But we're talking if the Patriots were to move out of that 3 pick, that 2
They're not. They're
mid-round
not
pick
giving up
would be
their
decent.
second round pick. They would. They would still have that
Yeah,
36th
no, I didn't
overall
say that,
pick.
but this team you're talking about, the potential deal that they talked about today, I don't know. I didn't see it, but
It would be
saying
like
how
the It's either it would be like the 13th and 26th in the first round, and then the Patriots would still have their high second rounder, which is like
and
36th overall. That's
okay,
imagine if you could get in the first round, you get the receiver you're looking for, you get the offensive lineman you're looking for,
yep,
and then you grab a guy like Penix.
okay. Now
How
I'm
is
with you.
that bad?
I think that would be a great. I think that is what they should do. That's what I'm going on
A
record saying.
number one.
I would like
A
Michael Penix.
number one. A number one. I'm just going to throw this scenario out at you. The first overall quarterback they talk about is Caleb Williams. A number one. Everybody's question his softness because he cried to his mommy. Oh, he paints his nails. What if things don't go right there in Chicago, which for quarterbacks, it has been a destination for doom? Okay, let's just face it. Ever since we were kids, who has really been a quarterback that Chicago has really groomed? Jim McMahon? That's 1986.
Hey, I'm going to
Okay,
throw you a
for
little
real.
something real quick. Let me throw you a little nugget.
Now,
Something I read. Hold on. Let me just
just,
tell you,
oh,
just so you know this.
yeah,
Read a little nugget. Don't know how accurate it is or how you know trustworthy it is, but word has it, Chicago may be looking at somebody who played at Michigan. They may fuck the
JJ
world.
McCarthy.
Why? Because he plays in cold
Yeah,
weather, and he won a championship, and
yeah,
he showed that he could handle the pizzazz. I'm just
yeah.
saying, he looks like he would fit in Chicago. Caleb Williams, where did he go to school? USC. Warm
USC, but he
weather.
grew up in Washington, D.C., buddy.
Yeah, but you
You,
played
you
oh,
do, you don't know.
you played USC, you played warm ball. You know what I mean? You look at the difference and you look at a place like Chicago. Not it
But
just
you
it would
only
be
play,
interesting if
but
they
you
did
grew
that.
up your whole life playing in cold weather. You got recruited by playing in cold weather as a kid.
Yeah, but then he went to warm
So you know what I mean?
right, but then you go to
Yeah,
warm
you
weather,
went to
then you're fucking
Oklahoma for a year and you go to USC for two. But I mean, what I'm saying is he's used to playing in the cold weather. I don't
but
think that's
I'm
going to
just
change
saying,
Caleb Williams.
look at Chicago, look what's happened to former
Yeah, yeah.
quarterbacks just like him.
And
And then you hear
Chicago
then you
also,
hear
I was
JJ
going to
McCarthy.
say, Chicago is right now has made the best improvements for a young quarterback to move in. They got that kid. They got what's his name? That running back from Philadelphia. They got another receiver. Chicago has really done well in the off season. Uh,
Sorry,
and
so
then hear me out. So then people talk about the kid Jaden Daniels being too small. That can you guarantee that he's going to be there for all 17 games of an NFL season when he couldn't even play all 12 games of a pro season? I mean, of an NCAA season. So what makes you think that he can last the 17 games in the pros? And then people
listen,
say,
I'm with you.
okay, okay.
I
So
agree with you. I
now
think I want Michael Penix.
that makes that's the Lamar Jackson issue. Look at every time Lamar Jackson gets hurt for the Ravens, all of a sudden they're not as dominant as they were. So which means that makes your backup quarterback that much more important because you have to have a guy that basically mirrors the same way your starter plays. Now it brings you to Drake May. Drake May, here's a perfect fact. Out of Caleb Williams and out of the kid Jalen Daniels, he's the third. He's only had two starting years, while Daniels has started for 5 years on two different NCAA teams, and Caleb Williams has started over 3 years of NCAA ball. Okay, Drake May is a sophomore, and like I said, he only committed to full time playing football as of 2 years ago. So, which means the repetitions of camps and stuff like that he's had to play, the footwork and things of that nature,
Okay. I'm gonna
aren't
throw.
even up to these guys.
You ready for this
So,
one? I'm gonna throw a scenario
I
at you.
just don't believe that. I don't like when you say it like that, and I break it down like that. I don't think there's much of a difference between those three and guys you can get at the end of the first to the second round.
We've already agreed. We agree. But I'm gonna throw the scenario at you, and I don't think it's gonna happen. But let me throw a scenario at you. Now here comes a team nobody's going to expect. What if the Los Angeles Chargers, with their new head coach, Jim Harbaugh, said, I'll trade you, I'll swap number ones, I'll give you my number one next year, the 2025, in Justin Herbert. Would you do it? You'll get the Patriots. The Patriots would get Justin Herbert, swap picks. I don't know where they draft.
Justin Herbert. Listen, as soon as you spit Justin Herbert's name out of your mouth, I'm taking him. You're talking about a guy that's signed for the next 5 years. He's 4 or 5 years. And Justin Herbert, yeah, I got his jersey in my closet. It may be a Chargers jersey, but he's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. So yeah, I would do it in a heartbeat.
I could see a scenario where they may say, hey, like Harbaugh, if he really loves J.J. McCarthy and he says, I want him, I'll work with him. He won me a quarterback. That's my guy. I know he loves him. And let's say they look at it and they're like, well, Herbert, we had a couple years of Justin Herbert. We're going to move on from him. I mean, there's there's your perfect opportunity.
So I tell you, it's almost that effect of when Mike Dicker said, you know what? I'm taking Ricky Williams and everybody, you can have all the rest of the picks. Remember that? He drafted Ricky Williams out of Texas to get the number one overall pick. He traded every draft choice he had that year, Mike Dicker. And the Saints ended up with just one draft choice, and that was Ricky Williams, and then they went home.
I remember that.
He traded.
Yep.
He traded every pick in the draft to move up to number one.
Yep. All right, so let me ask you this. So transitioning, staying with the Patriots. Let me preface this by asking first, just yes or no, have you had a chance to watch The Dynasty?
I watched it all.
Okay. Well, I want to get into it. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Number one, do you feel that ultimately the dynasty was created to pump up the Crafts in Tom Brady and deflate the tires of Bill Belichick?
No, because I think if anything, to a certain extent, a smart Patriots fan seen that it really had a role reversal come to 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 to me. It made me see that. I'm going to just tell you my outtake. I believe more looking at it that Robert Kraft looks like the fucking asshole. He looks like the cheap guy.
Makes Robert Kraft looked. Wait, no, that's not what I asked.
Because of the way he acted.
Hold on. I need you to take yourself out of the
I'm telling you, my
hear me out. But you really think that Dynasty made Robert Kraft look like an asshole?
Yeah, the way I look at it, I believe the way he told the story was a vanity level.
Where in the documentary do you feel? I'm curious. Honestly, I'm not being a fucking sarcastic. I'm curious as to where you feel in that documentary.
Where he keeps on reiterating to himself as the third party. I felt and Bill felt, but he's nothing. Okay, I'm sorry, he's just the owner. He became to me just as vain as Jerry Jones, and I believe a lot of this. I believe that this could keep him out of the Hall of Fame.
You think?
And there's a lot of sportscasters. There's a lot of sportscasters that feel the same way that this fucking thing made Kraft look bad.
Where did it make him look
The
bad?
only
That's what I'm
part
asking.
that makes Belichick, the only part that makes Belichick look bad is for the fact that he fucking took a cauterization to a killer more than he did Tom Brady.
Say that again? He did what?
The only thing that makes Belichick look bad is that he coddled a killer more than he coddled Tom Brady.
You think he coddled Aaron? So it's funny you say that because who just came out and said it and called that a crock of shit? Who the fuck was it? It was defensive player. Shit, who the fuck was it? It was a defensive player, and they said that they talked about um. Oh, sorry, it wasn't defensive. It was Julian Edelman. Edelman called Welker out because Welker said that. Welker said, "Well, Bill coddled Bill. I guess when we talked about Aaron Rodgers, and he called Welker out saying,
Aaron Hernandez.
yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, Aaron Hernandez. Yeah, called out and said that that's a crock of shit, and he knew it, and you're only saying that because you hate Bill or you're still mad at Bill. Come on, man, don't be like that. That's not true." And that was Julian Edelman saying that's a crock of shit. That
But
he
there
was.
was people in the
They said that
dynasty that were saying
They
that
said he would motherfuck, and he goes motherfucking Aaron Hernandez, fucking Hernandez, this and that. He said he was just as hard on every fucking player. So I don't buy that he coddled Aaron Hernandez more than he coddled Tom Brady. And no offense, Tom Brady is the fucking leader of the fucking New England Patriots. He's the quarterback and he's a perfectionist. So Tom Brady, as much as I love the guy. I do. We love him. Greatest quarterback of all time. Probably the greatest football player of all time. But
yeah,
Tom Brady wanted that. That's what made Tom Brady as great as he was.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Listen,
all
just
right.
in my estimation from watching this, I don't blame Belichick for everything anymore after watching this because I believe a lot of it was I think a lot of it was produced by Kraft. Number one, his production company has ties to this. Then you got guys coming out that said, I wasted 2, 3 days shooting this
Major,
stuff.
yep,
And
two
they,
major players on the
and they,
Patriots side.
and they put nothing on what I said. Yes, I do. I think if you go back and watch it, look at how much crap I'm the one. Me and I did. You
That's
funny,
what I'm
I'm
asking.
sorry.
So you do kind of agree that. So it's funny because I think you'd agree the first like the first dynasty part of the dynasty, talking about the Patriots
And I'm going to
dynasty.
tell you this.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me
You've known me a long time. Okay? When you first met me, I was a season ticket holder of the New England Patriots, remember?
But let me ask you this question. So first dynasty up into let's call it pre Tom Brady knee injury. That's really the first dynasty, right? First dynasty. I think that the episodes, the dynasty itself, the thing that we watched was very fair,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
It was equal. It was, hey, it's the defense, it was the offense, it was the coaching, the guys with this, the guys with that, and Brady was like, yeah, this and that, blah 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 blah. And even and Kraft was all like, oh, Bill and Bill. I felt like the second dynasty, the last 3 Super Bowl titles, in the episodes that corresponded, they really attacked Bill Belichick in such a way. They did it
Yeah.
like they did it. They slighted him. If you notice the
I think it
players,
was a smearing
hear
of
me out.
Bill
Hold on.
big time to make him look good.
Right. But here's now listen to this, and I have a couple notes here that I wanted to point out to you that I think you'd agree. Players that were always known to be pro Bill Belichick guys. Devin McCourty, Matthew Slater,
Yeah.
two major guys, captains. Always did the Patriot way, always took less, kept signing, kept being here, were locker room leaders. And I know Devin McCourty came out and said, it's funny how they only used selected words of what I said. not telling the whole story. But you're going to tell me that the producers definitively in this, especially in those last 4 or 5 episodes, they blatantly attacked Bill Belichick. They blatantly put the blame on Belichick, just like Aaron Hernandez. You're going to tell me of the Aaron Hernandez, the episode that they didn't try to portray Belichick as the reason why Aaron Hernandez murdered those people, because he refused to trade him, and then you got Robert Kraft at the end. I have to apologize to the fans. Like,
I think. Listen,
rocket shit.
yeah, I believe it was. Now that you like you put it like that, yes, I believe it was the production number one. It wasn't an Craft Productions had to do with the making of that docuseries that you just saw on Apple. I don't know if you know that. Okay, Craft Productions had to do with that. That's a Robert Kraft production. Okay. I believe that it was designed to make Bill look bad and Robert look good. And I believe that it did intend, the intentions were there, but once you can see through the fakeness, you can see that Robert Kraft is really the jerk come the end of this.
I feel like
I think even more with the free agency, this year. They didn't spend no money. Bill ain't here.
So I don't
the
think
money
that
part of it.
The money part you said.
I just think the money part of it. I think this could have been. The money part of it now looks a lot to me like, Robert Kraft is using his Harvard mentality that he has had for business. And that's how they run the Patriots, like a Harvard business school.
Okay, but the dynasty didn't. I mean, the dynasty. I didn't feel portrayed that the Patriots were that Robert Kraft's the cheapest. I don't. That didn't get portrayed.
Never felt that. I'm not feeling betrayed.
No, what I'm saying,
I feel more like Robert. To me, I feel like Robert Kraft all along was a help in a help in being cheap.
But we're talking about the dynasty and its portrayal of the Patriots. And where in the dynasty did it portray Robert Kraft cheap? Nowhere did they really address any of that stuff in the dynasty. At least I didn't feel that way.
With the way they sign people during the time. I don't think the show. I'm not talking about that. Like, I lived through it. I can care less about the. Yes, I know, but even more it reiterates that fucking guy's cheap, and he makes himself out to look like the fucking man who put this all together.
But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about that's what I'm saying.
He makes it all seem like he's the main orchestrator of all this, and he's not. He made Belichick look like a moron.
So you agree? So ultimately, yes, he did. It's funny. I think you'd agree. The first dynasty, it really did showcase Belichick both, during his season and also talking, like as if he was being interviewed. It's funny because as we transition to post-knee Brady in second dynasty, you see less and less of actual, like, most recent Belichick interview. And then all they're showing you is all the bullshit, with the exception of the Deflategate episode. And that, let's be honest.
When you ask me my ultimate outcome of it, it looks. The thing is designed to put Kraft over as being the rah-rah guy, that he's the man that helped keep it all together. He's the man that gave it to you. And Belichick is the fucking dickhead through it all. That's what I got out of it. You know what I'm saying?
And I think
when I first met you, I was at the heyday of my season, of the end of having my season tickets. Okay, I was there the night that was in the old stadium when Bledsoe got knocked out of the game, I had switched coming down from my seats were located in section 315 of the old stadium. And the guy that gave us the tickets that I used to buy the tickets from, during certain games, he would let a couple of us guys come down and sit in his 50-yard seat that would be behind the Patriots bench, about 7 rows up. And when Bledsoe got knocked out of the game, yes, did the place go silent? Yes, it did. But can I tell you, there wasn't when that game ended and people were back out tailgating. You know as well as I do. The talk around New England was, how the fuck could you give a guy that's digressing over 8 years a 10-year fucking deal worth $100 million? That in New England, one of the biggest things we were talking about, how lucky it was that Bledsoe got knocked out of that game. Okay? Other than the fact that we lucked out that Tom Brady was able to be that good. You're one of not many people that when Bledsoe got traded to Buffalo, you went out and bought his shirt and hat, for crying out loud. You was a huge Bledsoe fan when I first met you. I liked Bledsoe too.
I liked him. I thought he was a great player.
I know you, buddy. I remember you. I remember you went out and you had the white Buffalo Bills shirt.
Yeah.
But anyways, I was not. And remember, the talk around town is many people. We were all like, "Man, I don't know. You can't take Brady out. You can't take Brady out and put Bledsoe." So, like the way that they portray it, that like I saw it differently. You know what I mean? I felt like I was a different majority of the Patriot fan because I was a season ticket holder at that time. And I remember the buzz going around the stadium every week, going to the games and talking with people and being around the people, that it was not really people, we weren't really missing Bledsoe. You know, was it awesome to have Bledsoe come in and help us in Pittsburgh? Yeah, it really was. But were we really missing him? I don't remember that like that. I don't. I remember it much differently.
But I think that was Robert Kraft's way of trying to do the final soothe over of Drew saying, "You were my guy, Drew, until Tom won me a Super Bowl." But I just feel like the dynasty was definitely a way to find it, to enforce.
Do you think it gave you any insight?
Of Brady and Kraft?
I'm going to ask you, do you feel it gave you any extra insight and helped you? Did it make it like, were you like, wow, that was fucking, wicked, and I got to watch, like, did you come out of it with anything like that?
The only thing I actually enjoyed was the episode where they showed Brady playing in Michigan and how he talked about, I liked hearing Tom Brady say, "Yeah, it fucking bothered me." He's like, when he's talking about the entire fucking, class of the stands are rooting for Drew Henson, and here's Brady and here's Brady, and he said, "Yeah, it fucking bothered him." And I'm like, all right, it was hearing that and never knowing, like, him being honest and saying, "Yeah, it fucking bothered me." And like the way he said, like, it was like it still bothered him. Like, thinking about it, you could tell it bothers him that his own fucking classmen cheered for somebody else rather than him because they wanted that player in the game. So that was about it, though. Everything else, I was like, yeah, Jesus Christ, I knew all this already. It was actually more enjoyable listening to Rodney Harrison and Devin McCourty be bullshit and kind of exposing it.
I would love for the people who put the dynasty out I would love to see the conversations, the full-length conversations that Harrison and McCourty and I would love to see that. Yeah. I'm very interested. I would love to see that. So
that's what I was hoping.
We're about an hour and 40 minutes deep where the dynasty, I wasn't there wasn't much that I didn't know. I kind of felt I kind of felt like they tried to insult my intelligence to make me believe a few things that I was like, no, I remember it much differently than that. I lived it. You know what I mean? It felt like they tried to pull the Jedi mind trick on me on a couple of things. It just wasn't happening. And yeah, I felt like they tried to make Bill like look like the ass, and it looked like it was a huge. It was like a campaign for Robert to look like the man to help get him into the Hall of Fame.
It
And I
enforced the
think the
pay.
people who,
Yeah, I'd say
and
it
I
also
think
enforced
people
the
who
love of
really
Tom Brady.
and it really for the people who could read between the lines, I think it made. I think ultimately it was more detrimental to craft than helpful.
I'm gonna,
What
and
do you think?
we're at an hour 40, and I know it's getting late. So I want to say this: one of the one things I did pick up, and it was disappointing, and I think you're going to agree. And let's spend 2 minutes on it. I'm going to rifle off these names: Matt Light, Logan Mankins, um, Dion Branch, barely. Let me see who else. Bailey Teddy Bruschi, Willie McGinnis. I mean, legitimately, one word from Rodney Harrison. Um, even players such as Asante Samuel. Um, where were they in this documentary? These people were instrumental in the years of the dynasties, both offensive and defensively. Where the fuck were they in this documentary? That was upsetting, especially Matt Light. I mean, in Logan Mankins, probably the two of the best offensive linemen we had during that time. During either one of them. So it's just
I
quick,
can look.
quick thought.
I look at it this way, brother. I look at it this way. I feel like I said, it was a craft production. I don't think it was a true dynasty that let me pay for each one of these guys. Let's do a real Patriots thing. This is a Robert Kraft production. It was designed by Robert Kraft to look good, and that's my opinion, and that's what I'm sticking with.
I like it. I'm with you. We agree on this. Last thing, 30 seconds. What do you think Bill Belichick's book's going to be about? What do you think?
Rumor came out today that it's going to be about leadership.
It's yeah okay. So I didn't think it was going to be a tell-all. I think it's going to be a book about just football in general.
How to be a great leader.
Yeah. Okay.
How to be a leader.
All right. That's it for me, brother. That was good.
So, well, we'll be talking Sunday Easter special, and it will be exclusive. Tonight we're running live off of my Facebook, and which is to probably over about 1,500 people on my Facebook. We're out to tonight between our YouTube channel and Twitch. We'll be on the Gorilla Position Network Sunday, Easter Sunday, with a special behind the curtain, and be myself, the Gazoo, and Jimmy Fingers. And then next Friday night, we're going to have a Wrestle Mania reunion. It'll be a round table of whoever wants to come on and talk WrestleMania predictions and things of that nature. So we'll save the wrestling. Do we want to save the wrestling for Sunday, or is there anything you just might want to just?
No, we'll save it for Sunday.
All right, we'll save it for Sunday. And with that being said, I am Rumble.
I'm the Gazoo.
And once again, we just better than. Hey, where the heck is my goddamn? No, we need music. We'll see you Sunday night on the Gorilla Position Network, YouTube, and Twitch. Have a great one, everyone.